Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Devin Miles. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. One thing I'd like to say, so we're about to prepare for the hurricane that's coming across the coast, and I didn't realize this. I'm so used to hurricanes at this point that I'm kind of like always naturally prepared, right? But I went into one of the stores that's really popular out here, and as I'm walking up, one of the things that I noticed is that it was really busy. So I was thinking, okay, well, it's Saturday. Oh, right, I probably shouldn't have come on Saturday. But as I'm also walking up, I'm seeing the amount of people leaving at the rate that they're leaving. It was like watching ants walk out of a store. Like it was just one after the other after the other. And so because of COVID, I chose not to go into the store, because if I see that many people going out of the store that frequently, the density within the store is probably going to be high, and my ability to keep my distance from people is going to be probably a little compromised. And so because what I needed in the store, or what I wanted in the store, was not a need, I was like, you know what, I'm going to come back later. So I understand you guys are preparing for the two hurricanes. I shouldn't just say the storm, the two hurricanes that are coming across the coast. But at the same time, if you don't need to go out and you're just going to like shop for, a shirt or something like that, instead of for water, for wood, for different things that are going to prepare you for a hurricane, do consider staying home right now, because the density of people that are in the stores preparing for the hurricanes is going to be high. And so your ability to socially distance might be a little bit compromised. So just keep that in mind. But today, I want to talk about something different, and that is what to do after you've been on antibiotics. A lot of people have been on antibiotics at some point in their life. Some people have been on them more frequently, and then there are others who have been on a high dose of them at one time or another. So particularly an example of that would be surgery, where you get a much higher dose of antibiotics. So some of the issues that can come from that is poor digestion. And so if you're not sure how to deal with that, it can actually turn into a very chronic problem. So antibiotics do kill off bacteria, but they kill off good and bad bacteria. So that is an issue for the digestive tract, which has a lot of good bacteria in it. These good bacteria help to digest your food as well as regulate your immune system. And if you want to research this idea more, you can look into the keyword microbiome. Micro, MICROBIOME. You will find a lot of information on the web about the microbiome, and that's getting into the various bacteria all over our body that influence our overall health. So as I mentioned before, the antibiotics can kill off good bacteria as well. So some of the symptoms that can be experienced from that could include things like major fatigue, slower recovery from something like surgery, heartburn, indigestion, gas, bloating, feeling like your food is not digesting, and constipation. So this can lower, as I said, the antibiotics can help to lower, not help, but it lowers the amount of good bacteria, and thus it can contribute to poor digestion. So if some of these digestive symptoms get worse and nothing is done, and as I said, it could turn into a more chronic issue, well, then you can start to have things like food sensitivities. So this can aggravate any type of chronic symptom you may have. But some common ones could be gas, bloating, heartburn, joint pain, even migraines. I'm laughing a little, I'm smiling a little bit because my sister is a PA, and so that's a physician's assistant, and we talk a lot, so she knows some of the things that I know now. And so there was a patient that came in to see her for something different, but she told her about some of the other issues she was having, and she was like, ever since my digestion started being a problem, I started having migraines, and I think they might be related. And And so my sister was like, well, only because my sister's a naturopathic doctor, I'm going to tell you, yeah, you're probably right. And so the patient was just like, really? Thanks, because people were not believing me. So, yes, if you are having digestive issues and you notice right after you eat that you have a migraine, well, then, yeah, you might have a food sensitivity. Your stomach and the migraines are probably very much related. So, yes, that can be a symptom of a food sensitivity. It can be a symptom of poor digestion. So, in addition to that, some other things that antibiotics can promote, if not handled correctly after you have the antibiotics, would be mood changes. So, your digestive tract helps to make serotonin. Serotonin is a hormone and neurotransmitter, and it helps you to have a good mood. So if you don't have enough serotonin hanging around, you can get depressed. So also people who take anxiety medications, some of those anxiety medications are considered selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So it helps to keep the serotonin around in your body. So yes, people with digestive issues a lot of times tend to have mood swings, or they're just more irritable, more anxious, more depressed. So another thing that can happen, if the antibiotics tend to still have a negative chronic effect on you, would be hormone imbalances. The digestive tract definitely helps in terms of managing the balance of your hormones. So some hormonal imbalances that could eventually happen would be changes in your period, PMS or worsening PMS. So examples of this would be, of course, cramps, heavy bleeding, breast tenderness, again, mood changes, and migraines, especially if they're around your period. And then also another symptom that you may experience, or collection of symptoms you could experience, is considered low adrenal function. When you have a digestive issue, it is a chronic source of stress on the body. And so that, along with the different hormonal changes, it can cause a lot of stress on the system. And the particular area of your body that tends to try to deal with that stress are your adrenal glands. And these are two glands that sit one on top of each kidney. So they help with different hormones relating to salt, sugar, and sex. So, and then stress. So when you start to overload the amount of work that the adrenals have to do, you can start to experience low adrenal function. At one point I had significant headaches, and they weren't considered a migraine, but they were very congestive like, and so the way that I addressed it was like a migraine for that reason, because I kind of knew what was happening. But again, to get back to the low adrenal function, so this can present with symptoms like night sweats, fatigue, slight shakiness. Now, night sweats, you do still have to do your due diligence to figure out where that's coming from, because night sweats can come from different things. But in this case, it's not an issue that warrants major concern, like a terminal illness or something like that. In this case, it's just that your body is just really worn out. So low adrenal function can show symptoms of night sweats, fatigue, slight shakiness in the hands. So it's not going to be like this, right? But it's going to be like something's just slightly shaking all the time. Trouble sleeping, not waking up refreshed. It's like you'll be tired all day, and then you lay down, and then you can't go to sleep. It sucks. I've been there. And then lower immune function. So I saw firsthand what a poor recovery from antibiotics can look like. I have a relative who has a condition that he was used to getting minor surgeries every year. And he would wake up the next day, get out of bed, be fine, right? But one time he didn't bounce back so fast. And so this time it was just like he had great fatigue, great indigestion. He was just not himself. So after a while, we started realizing, and then also with the indigestion, he had a burning sensation. So the physicians and the staff that did the surgery prescribed him antacids. They didn't do anything, and it certainly didn't give him his energy back. He was not in a good place. So eventually we figured out, this may in fact be the antibiotics that caused this. So the first thing I did prior to that was put him on a diet that was going to be extremely easy to digest. So really all I did in the beginning was put him on some watermelon, so just to give his digestion a break. But what really made the difference for him when it came to helping him to finally get out of bed, helping him to feel like his digestion was coming back, helping him to have energy, was putting him on probiotics. So that's essentially the solution, is that after you've been on antibiotics, you really want to repopulate your good bacteria with probiotics. So you can do this in the form of probiotic capsules, which I would suggest is probably, I think, the best way to go at that point, because you've just, especially if it's after surgery and you're having heavy doses of antibiotics, you want to put something in there that is going to, have a good force behind it. So a probiotic capsule, 1 or 2 a day, can help to slowly over time repopulate the digestive tract with good bacteria. And so when I tell you my relative went from days in bed, not sure what was going on, not sure what to do, within 2 days he was saying hello and getting out of bed. And I say hello, like, no, he was talking the whole time, but I was actually away, and so I was helping manage the situation long distance, and so I wasn't talking to him. I was just talking to the person helping to take care of him. So it was really nice to see that, now he's on the phone talking to me after just 2 days of being on the probiotics. And then within maybe 1 or 2 days after that, he was getting out of bed. So it can really make a difference if that is the issue after being on antibiotics, is to help to repopulate your system with probiotics. The faster you can do this, the better, because as I mentioned, it can be there's going to be more things that have to happen if you wait a long time and you start to have some of those other symptoms that I mentioned, because then it's more of a chronic issue. There's other moving parts now. So if you were my client, there would be other things, of course, that I would do besides just put you on probiotics. But this is just, isolating the situation, saying, hey, if you've been on antibiotics, definitely repopulate your system with probiotics afterwards. So the other way that you can also help to repopulate your system with good bacteria is by eating a diet that's high in fiber. So that doesn't mean like just eat psyllium husk all day. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that one of the ways you can do that is through eating fruits and vegetables, because they are naturally high in fiber. So the other way, of course, is to eat foods that are fermented or pickled. So some examples of this would be pickles, of course. Now with pickles, I would say there's a particular brand that I like called Bubbles, Bubbles. It's more like what a pickled cucumber really should be, in my opinion, because you just get pickles out the store. I wouldn't call that a probiotic supportive food. It's more like a processed type of item. And a lot of the pickles, just any pickles that you would just buy in the store, they tend to have yellow dye in them. So they're appealing to your sight by making them more green. So Bubbles doesn't do that. You can also just pickle your own cucumbers, and that's even better. But some other pickled items that you could find or that you can make yourself would be like pickled beets, pickled okra, pickled bell peppers, pickled garlic. Some other fermented foods would be injera. So injera is the bread that you see in the Ethiopian restaurants that they use to like pick up their food. If you notice all the little holes in it, that's a fermentation process. And if you just eat it right by itself, you'll taste a slightly sour taste. And a lot of times when you ferment foods, it has a sour taste, and that's okay. That's a good thing. So some other examples of fermented foods would be kimchi, which is a common Asian food. Sauerkraut. Some of you probably use that on some of your hot dogs. Yogurt. Usually I try to get people to go dairy-free on that. Miso. Yeah, injera is good. By the way, with injera, you might want to ask, so because we're talking about also digestive issues, one of the other things that I tend to get my clients to come off of is gluten, because gluten just really messes with the digestive tract. It just makes it worse. So when you go to some of these, if you're going to an Ethiopian restaurant, you might want to ask them, hey, is it pure injera? Meaning it's made only from teff, which is a different grain than wheat. A lot of times now that's not always the case. Sometimes they will mix it with wheat. So if you in fact have a gluten sensitivity or you're sensitive to wheat, you may want to unfortunately forego the injera, or just see if they can make it without adding any wheat flour to it. So also miso, and then so that's a nice blend of fermented foods and pickled foods that you can use daily. Honestly, it's a good thing to consume these items daily because it helps to keep a good amount of good bacteria in your stomach, and that helps again to digest your food and regulate your immune system. So when I talked about vegetables, one of the things that you might be thinking, is, okay, I'll go juice the vegetables. So juicing would be good from a different standpoint, but I'm talking about getting the fiber from the vegetables in terms of helping to also repopulate the good bacteria in your system. So in addition to juicing, because juicing is great, I have no problem with it, but in addition to juicing, make sure you're also eating just whole vegetables, whole fruits throughout your day. So if raw food is going to be an issue for you, then you can still, of course, like steam it, cook it. That's okay as well. You're still going to get in some fiber that way as well. I actually do a mix of all three because that seems to work the best for my body. So yeah, kind of like flat sourdough bread. Yeah, sourdough bread. Yeah, sourdough bread. So yeah, if you ever notice anybody who's on antibiotics, just let them know, hey, it's probably a good idea to repopulate afterwards with a good probiotic. And if you see someone struggling after antibiotics, this could be the reason why. So now you know a little bit about what to do about it. So again, my name is Dr. Devin Miles. I provide telehealth consultations for prevention, gastrointestinal disorders, and kidney disease, amongst other things. And you can schedule an appointment by clicking the link in the bio. That's the link tree. Or you can just go to drdevinmiles.com. All right, you guys sit tight, stay safe during the storm, if you're in the South or wherever it decides to go. Storms. I need to say storms because it's storms. It's two of them. It's not one. Anyway, you guys be safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.